Kid Cudi is a hero. The emblem's dead at zero. Kid Cudi is a hero. The emblem's dead at zero. Kid Cudi is a hero. Fill out a change.org petition, you. Hi, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Beach Slang album. Let's get this right. The things we do to find people who feel like us. These guys are a Philly rock band, recent POLYVINYL Records signees. This is, their first big commercial coming out party. They teased up to the release of this album with a few pretty good singles, and they saw fit to give this album the garish title of the things we do to find people who feel like us. That's the title. And not a single song about OkCupid or Craigslist hookups. Okay, hold on. I think I got it. Beach Slang, what they're doing here is the action stated in the title. In order to find people who feel like they do, they're coming out with an alternative rock record that's gutsy but gauzy and has a strong pop sensibility and really impassioned lead vocals. They then lace these songs with rich, heavy, harmonious guitars, really thick production, a little shoegazy. And then they record that music, get signed to a label so that they can then tour the nation, no, the world, in order to meet people who feel the same way that they do about these alternative forms of rock music from the 90s. Kind of elaborate, guys. Not really necessary, but at least the end result of the band's efforts is a decent rock record. It's not the most distinct sound on the block, and there are times when I wish the vocals were a little less garbled. But this is an incredibly sharp debut album all the same. This thing is no BS. There's 10 or so tracks here, and only one song on the album sneaks past the 3-minute mark. And even though all the tracks on this thing are relatively short, the songs are succinctly written. They have very defined verses and choruses, very sharp endings and beginnings. The hooks are very explosive and melodic, even if they are a little simple sometimes. The performances are electrifying. They're visceral. There's definitely a punk energy to a lot of these tracks. And the emotional palette of this thing is a good mix of a little bit of angst, but also some feel-good vibes as well. The opening track here actually kicks this album off on a positive note with these really righteous lyrics talking about how the streets ain't got no guts, or at least that's what I'm hearing. The song Ride the Wild Breeze is one of the more aggressive tracks here, a real barn burner that has a gnarly guitar riff with tears welled up in its eyes because it's so just determined. The vocals are a little tortured, kind of raspy, remind me a bit of Nirvana, or like Bush. There's definitely a little bit of Japandroids mixed in there too somewhere. The chorus on this thing brightens up, sounds really heavenly. The song Young and Alive is similarly throttling. The acoustic number Too Late to Die Young isn't that bad either. It's cool to hear the band try something a little more stripped back, and it goes over very well. And outside of these more aggressive cuts, outside of these softer cuts, many of the other songs here are very mid-paced. They're not really aggressive, but they have this overwhelming bliss that I love. Like with the song Bad Art and Weirdo Ideas, a track that I like a lot despite the kind of cliched, twangy lead beach style guitar in the mix hanging around. Typically I avoid anything that's indie rock and named after the beach, but this is definitely a pleasing exception. Then we have songs like Noisy Heaven and I Break Guitars, which pack tons of indie rock euphoria into these little 2-minute sized bits. The LP doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like 27 minutes long, although around the halfway point, the band, I think, has explored their very simple formula as well as I think they were going to. They've kind of showed their whole deck of cards. Overall, I thought this was a good LP. It's a little one note, but the songs that do vary much of the time are pretty great. And even though the thing is short, this band makes every minute of the 27 minutes in this runtime count. Again, I stress that these songs are tightly written, not a single note out of place. I love the production. I think the performances are good. Again, I wish the vocals were a little bit more distinct, but I do like that rasp they bring to the table. And the performances are, again, electrifying, have a lot of energy. Not a whole lot of complaints about this thing. Didn't blow me away, but it's a really good rock record I don't really hesitate to recommend. I'm feeling a strong 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? And if you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it.
Anthony Fantano, music, rock, beach slang, forever.